Hi everyone, welcome back. Today is a really fun, exciting announcement. I'm pregnant. Surprise! So this is kind of why my upload schedule has been a little bit strange for the past few months. I haven't been uploading like I was, as you probably know if you watch me regularly, and that's why. I am pregnant, and I figured I would just do a get ready with me today and share everything that's been going on for the last few months. But this is my husband, Chris. You may have seen him if you've been around for a little while. He's been in videos here and there, but he wanted to be in this part of this video.
Yeah, I just wanted to come on and say how proud I am of Blair. This journey for her has been really difficult. For both of us, but especially for her. I don't know how long some of you have been with her channel, but I'm sure you know the struggles that she's had with recurrent miscarriages and endometriosis and just everything that comes with that. And I can't explain to you how proud I am of her and how excited I am to have a baby with her, and I love you so much.
Sorry, I didn't know he was gonna say that, but yeah, we're both so excited, and this has been a really long and just difficult thing, but we're obviously so excited, and I'm happy to finally be able to share this so I can like talk about it in videos, because it's been really hard to not say anything for a long time. So
can we tell them the sex?
I mean, I already did. I already filmed the get ready with me part, but if you want to tell, you can tell now.
It's a boy.
It is a boy. And I'll be 19 weeks pregnant when you see this. So I'm almost halfway through. And yeah, we're excited. But I don't want this to be too long. I just wanted to kind of let you know what to expect in the video. I'm going to go through everything and kind of tell you what's been going on and talk about it all, but thank you for being here and supporting, and I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take off because I don't do cameras well, but thank you for watching.
You did well. Let's get into everything. Honestly, I've been thinking about how I was going to start this video, and I don't really know where to start because there's so many things that have gone on in the past like 3 months that I want to share, but I don't even really know where to start, to be honest. I'm going to do my makeup, obviously, but I probably won't really talk much about the makeup that I'm using, but I will list everything as always. But I guess I'll just kind of start from the beginning, like when I found out, how I found out, all those kinds of things. So when this video goes up, I will be 19 weeks pregnant, which is crazy. So I'm almost halfway through at this point. And I think I found out when I was about 5.5 weeks. I think that's right. But going back to that time, I found out on October 6th. So like 3.5 months ago. And if you have been around, which I feel like most of you probably have, you may remember in September, middle of September, we went to Disney. We were gone for a long time. We were gone for like 10 days. And if you're not familiar with me or you've never heard me say this before, we are big Disney people. We've been going really since we've been dating. That's just kind of our thing. And we took like a really long trip together in September. Anyways, we were gone for a while, and towards the end of the trip, I started getting sick. I just did not feel well at all. I was really congested, just could not breathe out of my nose at all. And I wasn't really able to sleep at night. This kind of happened like a week into the trip, so it didn't like ruin the whole trip, but it did kind of put a damper on the last few days of it for me. Anyway, when we got home, I still wasn't feeling great. So I took a COVID test, and the COVID test was positive. So I did have COVID. But you know, it seemed to kind of resolve pretty quickly, and I wasn't really worried about it. Fast forward a few days, I knew that when we had gotten home from the trip that I should have started my period like a few days after getting home. And I knew, obviously I knew I had not started. I have, you know, I'm pretty regular typically with my period, but I mean, I'm pretty good at like tracking it and everything. So I knew that it should come, but it didn't. And I made a promise to myself that I was not going to take a pregnancy test early. I know, I'm sure if you're familiar with pregnancy tests now, you can take them, you know, up to 6 days before your missed period. And I've done that so many times in the past. And every time I regret it, because finding out early seems like this great thing. But then if you're anxious like me, or, you know, you've had trouble in the past, then finding out early actually really isn't a good thing, because then it just gives you more and more time to worry. So I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to test early. So I thought, okay, well, I kind of chalked it up to, you know, I was sick. We were out of town. My body's probably just a little bit thrown off, and that's why it's late. Well, the days kept passing and no period. So after it was, I want to say it was like 8 days late. At this point, one afternoon, I decided to take a test because I had one like cheap Amazon pregnancy test that I just had from previous times, and I had one left. So I decided to take the test, and Chris was not home. I think he was gone to play golf or something, but he wasn't here, so I was by myself, and I took the test, and literally I went to dip the test, and before I could even pull the test out, I could already see the second line. Like, it was like already dark, and it had been like 3 seconds. So yeah, it was positive. And I mean, honestly, I like panicked really, because not because, you know, I wasn't excited or anything like that, but just because, as a lot of you know, that if you've been to my channel for the last few years, I've had multiple early miscarriages or chemical pregnancy. In fact, my last one earlier this year was chemical pregnancy. And I was about 5.5 weeks at this time when I took the positive test. So I just kind of panicked, honestly. And I didn't really tell Chris in like a cute way or anything like that. I know a lot of people do that. I didn't do that. I just kind of told him as soon as he got home, because I was, as I said, kind of panicked. So that is how I found out, and that was at the beginning of October. And then obviously, you know, so many things start going through my mind. I knew that I actually did not have a doctor here yet. So we just moved to upstate South Carolina about, at that time, it was like 4 months prior to getting this positive test, and I didn't have a new OB here yet. So I didn't have a doctor to call. And so I knew, you know, obviously it was going to be a little while before I could go to a doctor, and I was just panicking, to be honest. So then about, I don't know, probably a week, maybe a little bit more than a week after that, after I found out, we found a doctor that we thought would be, or was pretty highly recommended in this area. And we called, we made an appointment, and of course they wouldn't see me until I was 8 weeks. And at that time, I think I was like 6 weeks and, I don't know, 4 days or something like that. Maybe a little bit less than that, actually. And so then starts the dreaded wait for the first appointment. And that is, I think that's like honestly one of the worst parts, is when you find out that you're pregnant, but you can't, like, doctors won't see you until you reach like a certain time. And usually it's around like 8 weeks, at least in the United States, that's how it is. And if you're like, you know, not an anxious person, or if you haven't had like bad experiences in the past or things like that, that's probably not like a huge deal or doesn't seem like a huge deal. But when you have had issues in the past, or you're an anxious person, or you're just kind of nervous about it, that sucks. It sucks to have to wait a few weeks before you can even go to the doctor. So that was probably the worst time over the last like 3.5 months, just because I was just like on pins and needles. I don't really know how else to describe it. I just couldn't get it off my mind. I felt like I was going to bed at night thinking about it. I was waking up in the morning thinking about it. I was thinking about it all day long. Like I just couldn't stop, really. So I was a nervous wreck leading up to that. Finally, when we went to that appointment, I knew they were going to do, you know, the first ultrasound, and they were going to see, hopefully they would see what they needed to see, a heartbeat and all those things. And luckily they did. And that appointment was fine, which I was relieved, obviously. I mean, that was a huge like relief for me, but at the same time, you know, obviously that didn't really take away all of my worry. I was still a nervous wreck, even though at that point I was 8 weeks along, and none of my past pregnancies had made it to 8 weeks. So I knew that was a good thing. But yeah, that was really, really rough, and I'm glad that's over. And if you've ever experienced that, then you probably know what I mean, but it's tough. This is really hard to tell this and do my makeup at the same time. But after that appointment, actually, I had never been to that doctor before, but I kind of told them about like past experiences that I've had and that I was just kind of nervous about it. So luckily we were able to go back again like a week and a half after that, and they did another ultrasound and they said everything looked good. At my first appointment, I forgot to mention this, but at the first appointment they did tell me that like based on my last period, I was measuring like 3 days behind. And so they ended up changing my due date by like 3 days. I don't know if they normally do that or not, because I've been told since then that it's like common for you to be measuring like a little bit behind or a little bit ahead at that point. So I don't know, but my due date as of right now is June 9th. It will be a beginning of summer baby. All right, so that kind of brings me, I guess, to like week 9, 9.5, somewhere around there, after the second appointment. And honestly, starting about week 9, that's when all of my lovely first trimester symptoms started, which I guess we'll kind of talk about that now. I was watching tons of videos about that at the time, because if you've never been pregnant before, or if you have never made it that long in a pregnancy, then you don't really know what to expect. You don't know what's normal, what's not normal. So I was watching a ton of YouTube videos about like symptoms and things, but I did have probably the most common one, which is nausea. That started, I would say, around like week 9. I would say week 9 to week like 11.5 is when I had like the majority of the nausea. But luckily for me, and I'm really, really thankful for this, I never actually like threw up from it. I just pretty much every morning I would have nausea as soon as my feet hit the floor. And it would last for a few hours, and then it would usually kind of fade off. Some days it would randomly come back, like later at nighttime, but most days it was early in the day. So I did have that, but I was very thankful that I did not actually throw up from that, which if you experience that when you're pregnant, then I feel for you so much, because nausea is bad enough, and then you put throwing up on top of that, and doing it like over and over and over. And I know some women have it their entire pregnancy. That is, I feel for you. if that is you or if you've experienced that before. Luckily, I did not have that, but one of the things that I did have, and I guess I was gonna say I knew that this was a thing, but I guess I really didn't know that this was a thing. I had so many food aversions. Like, I felt like I could not eat anything. Nothing that I normally eat, I don't want any of it. None of it. So, like, figuring out what to eat for dinner in particular every night was a challenge because nothing that I normally eat sounded even like kind of good. Nothing. So honestly, one of the only things that I could eat, and I ate a lot of these in the first trimester, more than I would have liked, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. I ate a ton of Chick-fil-A wraps. For whatever reason, that did not make my stomach turn. I don't know why, but I've always liked the Chick-fil-A wrap, but I really liked it. Like in the first trimester with honey mustard dressing. That's what I wanted. And I had a lot of those. I had a ton of those. But normally, I would consider myself a pretty healthy eater. I mean, I'm not like perfect by any means, but typically I'm a pretty healthy eater, and that all went right out the window. In the first trimester, I was eating the most bizarre things. I was eating like microwave macaroni and cheese, bread. I love bread. I always loved bread, but I really, really liked bread in the first trimester. Crackers, goldfish, popcorn. Popcorn is still one of the things that I love. Like I will just sit and eat an entire bag of popcorn. But that got really old really fast because when you can't eat what you normally eat and nothing sounds good, that sucks. And I was even having like this terrible like taste in my mouth. I don't know, it was like a metallic taste, and I think that was partially why I had so many aversions, is because of that taste. I just couldn't get rid of it. But I would say that was the worst part, honestly. The nausea sucked, but I would honestly say the food aversion, that was terrible. That was miserable. And the other symptom that I had, and this has improved because I finally figured out like what will work. And sorry to anybody, this is probably TMI, but you know what, this is a pregnancy video. I'm assuming this is mostly women watching this. So I did have terrible constipation. Terrible. I can't believe I'm saying that on the internet, but it is what it is. I had terrible constipation. Terrible. And I mean, I tried everything in the book. I tried all the things that they tell you to do, like increase your water intake, prunes, magnesium at nighttime, increasing your fiber, obviously. I mean, I tried everything. And then my doctor recommended Colace, which that's what finally worked for me, was Colace. But I have to take it every single day, and Miralax. If I don't do those two things, you're gonna have a bad time, or that's how it is for me. So that was the other just really crappy part of the first trimester. Luckily, that has gotten a little bit better, but that was also very, very unfortunate symptom. And on top of, you know, all those things, which obviously are not fun, I was still just experiencing a lot of anxiety, like just worried all day long. Worry in the morning when I wake up, worry before I go to bed, worry all day long. And that is, as I'm sure you've probably guessed by now, that is why my upload schedule randomly kind of went away. And, you know, I was only uploading like one video a week, sometimes not even one. That is why. Because first of all, obviously I wasn't feeling the best, but besides that, I was just, I don't know how to explain it other than some days, even when I felt okay enough to sit and film, I could not do it because it's like my brain just would not I couldn't think of anything else. Like I was sitting here trying to talk about makeup, put makeup on, do all those things. And obviously I wasn't saying anything in the video yet. So I felt like I didn't have anything to say because my entire brain was just going constantly. So I just got to the point where I filmed when I could and when I felt like, you know, I could sit down and just kind of block it out for a little while, but that was just getting really, really hard. And that's why the lack of videos. So I am sorry. I did not plan to do that. And of course it happened at a time of year when, you know, is the busiest time on YouTube or in social media, which is like October, November, December. And of course that's when my first trimester was. So that was, you know, not the best, but sometimes you just can't plan everything, and I just kind of had to go with it. But that's why I've been MIA. But fast forward a little bit from there, I guess my next like big appointment was the 12-week appointment, which that was the one where they like do everything. They do like take your blood work, physical exam, they do like let you see the baby. Something that I can't stand about pregnancy in the United States is, I mean, I assume it's like this for most doctors, just my understanding, that you basically go, you find out you're pregnant, you go to the doctor, they do the 8-week or the first ultrasound, you know, to confirm the pregnancy. And then they don't want to do another ultrasound until you're 20 weeks. And that is just nuts to me. That is just crazy to me. And I guess it's because, you know, I don't know why that is. I guess they just don't think you really need it. Like there's no reason to at that point. I don't know. But if you're an anxious person and you're really concerned about it, that isn't fun. So luckily when I went for my 12-week appointment, they were able to use the little like handheld Doppler thing, and I could at least see the baby on the Doppler, but you know, it's just like a tiny little phone screen. You can't really see a whole lot. They don't measure or anything. So that kind of stinks, but they were able to look and they said, you know, everything that they saw looked good. So that was positive. But in between then, and you may judge me, you may think I'm like psycho, and I probably am. If you yourself have been pregnant or you know someone that has, there are these wonderful places now where you can just go and get an ultrasound. And they're like, basically you just go and you pay for the ultrasound. So we have done quite a few of those. Quite a few of them. I'm not going to tell you how many we've done because you're probably going to think that I'm psycho. And I really wish that I didn't feel like I had to do that. But honestly, that was the only way that I could mentally get through it. I just needed to know that everything was okay, because that first trimester, and I think this was definitely another reason for all my anxiety, is that every time I would go to the bathroom, and I mean, this probably sounds crazy, but I was just paranoid every time. I was like, oh my gosh, is there going to be blood? Am I going to see something that I don't want to see? Like all these things. And when you're pregnant, you also pee all the time, or at least I do. So I was doing that constantly throughout the day, and it was just a lot. It was just a lot. And so those ultrasounds, thank goodness for those, because that was a big part of what got me through. The beginning was at least I could see that everything was okay. And if you are ever in a situation like that, or you know someone that is pregnant and they're anxious or really nervous, then I would definitely encourage you to Google in your area or look up where you can go get these ultrasounds, because they will at least in my case, they really helped kind of calm my nerves a little bit. And I guess that kind of brings me to now the second trimester, which I'm well into the second trimester now. But luckily, once I hit like 12 weeks, the nausea really went away. And every now and then I'll have like a little bit of a feeling of a little bit of nausea, but it's mostly gone at this point, which I'm very, 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 very happy about. And now my main my main issue is that I have got terrible heartburn and indigestion. I mean, it's pretty much daily, and it sucks. It is terrible. I mean, I have always had heartburn, so I kind of knew that that might be a thing for me because I've had that for years, but this is on another level because it's every single day. And it's mostly at night, but like the last few weeks I've had it a little bit during the day too. So I've been really wearing out some Tums because that, you know, you can't do much when you're pregnant. And I've been trying to take like nothing or as little as possible. So yeah, that is kind of my main symptom right now is I have terrible heartburn. I'm just now kind of starting to really have a bump. I mean, it's a bump. It's still not like anything crazy. I don't know. I know sometimes if you're first, I think it takes you a little bit longer to show. You could definitely tell that I'm pregnant. Like if you look at me with not like a baggy shirt on, you can definitely tell that I'm pregnant. But I don't look overly like, whoa, she's pregnant. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at there. But my main thing right now is the heartburn and indigestion, which, you know, like I said, I've had that before. It's not like it's something that I've never dealt with before, but it's not fun. Not fun at all. The other thing that's kind of been constant this whole time is, and actually in the last few pregnancies that ended very early, I had this symptom early on, and I still have this right now, and it's crazy dreams. Crazy, like wild, weird dreams. And I'm still having them, and it's every single night, and then the next day I can remember exactly what I dreamed, and like multiple dreams throughout the night. It's wild. It's wild. But those are two things that are pretty constant. I'm sleeping decently, but also having to get up to pee every I don't even know how often, but very often. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. When this video goes up, I'll be 19 weeks pregnant, so the next week will be our anatomy scan, which I'm excited for. I'm also very nervous for. But that's kind of the next big thing. I realize I'm like not talking about anything that I've used at all. I'm mainly using my Project Pan items and my everyday makeup drawer. Those are mainly the things that I'm using here, but I will list everything in the description box. So yeah, I am 19 weeks now, and I'm definitely feeling much better. I mean, I definitely have days where I don't feel as great physically or like emotionally. I definitely have days where I'm much more emotional, but overall I would say now I'm definitely feeling much better. So I'm curious to know if some of you have been thinking this, or if you've been wondering this, or are you surprised? I don't know. I feel like I haven't really given many hints about it. The only thing I've said in videos that is not something that I typically say is that my skin has been really dry, which it has, and my skin has like totally changed since pregnancy. My skin is just not, I mean, I'm not used to having dry skin, but my skin is dry. And I mean like my entire body. Like my face, my legs, my arms, my entire body has been dry. And that has definitely been different for me because I don't typically have dry skin, but that's really the only thing I can think of that I've said that like might tip you off. I don't know, but you'll have to let me know if you had a hunch or no. I'm using a little bit of highlighter today. This is a powder highlighter, which I don't do that often, but I don't know, I'm kind of in the mood for that today. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my brows. I'm gonna use the brow powder from Anastasia. A couple more things that I wanted to kind of touch on in this video. Obviously, like I said, I will be 19 weeks when you see this video, and I wasn't really sure how long I was gonna wait to announce it on YouTube, but I actually didn't even tell like family until Christmas. So they've only known really since, I guess I was about 16 and a half weeks then, other than Chris obviously knew, but I did tell my mom from like the very beginning because I knew that I was going to need her moral support, and I absolutely did. And she and Chris definitely got me through those first 12 weeks because that was really, 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 really rough for me. Emotionally is what I'm mainly referring to. But yeah, we didn't tell anyone until Christmas. I've always known that I wanted to keep it a secret for quite a while, just because, well, for a few reasons. Number one, obviously because of my past with, you know, those miscarriages. I just wasn't comfortable. It took me a really long time to feel comfortable sharing, and still now, like even filming this video today, I was like a little bit nervous too, and I don't know why. I don't ever get nervous to film, but I don't know. I feel like I've kind of, for the past 3.5, 4 months since I've known, I just, like I kind of wanted to like protect it or something. I don't know. I just felt like once I told people about it that it became like more real, and I didn't feel like I could like protect it as much. I don't know. That probably doesn't make sense, but that was kind of hard for me, and that's why I've waited so long to share it, because I just wasn't comfortable. I wanted to make sure, you know, as much as I could that things were going okay. And so I'm sorry that I just kind of left you in the dark about why I've been gone, but I had to do, you know, what I felt comfortable with, and it felt best for me to wait as long as I could. So I'm sure you understand. All right, let's move into some eyes, and I'll kind of update you on just some other thoughts that I have about pregnancy that I feel like doesn't get talked about a lot, and maybe it's just me, but I have a feeling it's probably not, but it's not something that you hear about a lot. And the first thing is something else that I experienced when I found out that I was pregnant, and I still have this to this day, and I'm 19 weeks, is I am also terrified of childbirth. I am terrified of it. And I can remember thinking or being kind of afraid of it for pretty much my entire life. Before, you know, obviously I was ever thinking about getting married or having a family or anything like that. But I can remember thinking for a lot of my life, like, wow, I just don't know if I could do that. And obviously I know that I can, like, obviously, but I'm not good with doctors. I'm not good with hospitals. I'm not good with needles. I'm not good with discomfort or pain. I do not have a high pain tolerance. And so am I so excited and thankful for this baby? 100%. But am I scared to death? 100%. And I feel like that's something that you don't hear about that much in pregnancy. You know, you see pregnancy announcements and all the happiness, and you know, you see all the fun things on social media, but you don't ever hear anyone talk about how scary being pregnant is, or you know, how scary for some people the thought of like actually going through labor and delivery, how scary that is for them. You don't hear about those things, and I want to talk about it because I don't think I could possibly be the only person that feels that way. And I definitely, like 100%, I am terrified to have a baby, to give birth. Now, obviously I knew when I got pregnant that that was like part of it, obviously, but am I scared to death about it? Yeah. And you know, it's one of those things, like now I'm to the point where on YouTube I've watched enough like pregnancy videos and things like that, that's like all I'm getting in my suggested videos is like labor and delivery vlogs, and part of me like wants to watch them, and the other part of me is like, I'm not sure I should watch that. I'm not sure that's gonna help me at all. So I just want to put that out there. If you maybe are pregnant or you feel like scared of childbirth, that you are not alone. I absolutely feel that way, and I wish more people would talk about it, because I don't think that we are alone in that, but I am really scared of it. I mean, I know I can do it, and I'm sure, or I know once it's over, I'll be so excited and happy and in love with this baby that I'll totally forget, you know, what it was like or how bad it was. Hopefully it won't be that bad, but if it is, you know, I'm sure, I know it'll all be worth it in the end. But that is something that I don't hear talked about a lot, and I'm definitely scared of it. I also don't hear a lot about people, you know, talking about in the beginning of pregnancy, when you first find out you're pregnant, how scary that is, and how like nerve-wracking it is to, you know, not know. Like, you know, you get a positive test and all of that, but you're so early on and you don't know how everything's going, and it's really hard, or at least it was for me. And I feel like that's another thing you don't hear about a lot. But if you are in that boat, I just want you to know that you are not the only one. I absolutely have felt that way, and I still feel scared to death about it. Definitely not as bad as that first trimester, but I definitely do have days where I feel very anxious about it. I know it'll all be worth it. So any advice you can give me, if you have, I know a lot of you, I think, are mothers already. If you are, any advice that you can give me? Please don't tell me your terrible experiences if you've had them, because I don't know that I can handle that mentally. Another thing I wanted to touch on in this video is just, you know, my content moving forward and my thoughts on, you know, how this would affect my channel and things like that. But the first thing I want to say is that I have no intentions of, you know, this channel changing or, you know, becoming more like lifestyle vlogs and all of that. I know a lot of people do that, and, you know, to each their own. That's not something that I'm interested in. I definitely plan to keep this channel, you know, beauty related and makeup related, because that's my true love, and that's why I started this channel to begin with. So I'm not turning into a vlog channel or anything like that. So I did want to put that out there, because I'm sure that's a question. And, you know, honestly, and this may sound weird coming from someone that posts videos on YouTube, I am a very quiet person. I'm a very reserved person. I am not like an oversharer in or on social media or in my personal life in general. Chris and I are both we're both very quiet. We're very introverted. We're very happy being that way. We're both that way, but we are not the type of people that share much of anything with other people. It's just not really, that's just not how we are. And I don't want to be that way. So definitely don't have any desire to, you know, like family vlog or anything like that. So my channel will remain the same. However, I also know that obviously when I have this baby, my life is going to be very, 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 very different. And I don't know what filming and that kind of stuff is going to look like. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know what it's like to have a baby. I watch a lot of people here on YouTube that do have babies, and I'm 32. I'm not old, but I'm older than a lot of people, I guess, that have babies. But I don't feel like I'm like totally in the dark about how my life is going to change when this happens. But I don't know exactly what it's going to look like in terms of filming and those kinds of things. So I do not plan to stop YouTube. I want to keep this going, even though I know I'm going to have less time to do makeup and things like that. I know that. my plan is to continue this channel. I just will, you know, have to navigate like everybody does of what that looks like once he's here. But I don't plan to stop YouTube or anything like that either. I don't know that 3 videos a week is going to be realistic anymore, at least not in the beginning, because 3 videos a week is a lot when you're not pregnant and when you don't have kids. So I know it's going to be a whole lot once we do. So I don't know, you know, what my upload schedule will be, how many times I'll be uploading, any of those things, but I do not plan on going anywhere. I'm sitting here thinking if I've like gone over everything, and honestly, I probably should do a whole other video on just more like pregnancy things, because there's so many more things that I want to talk about. Like something else that I've been stressing myself out over this whole time is like skincare, mainly skincare, not so much makeup, because, you know, I know the whole clean beauty route, all those things, and pregnancy is so hard for a lot of reasons, but one of them being like nothing is safe according to most things in pregnancy. And it's just hard to know like what is okay and what's not. And that's something I've definitely been stressing myself out over, is like what I can use on my face. Like I'm mainly referring to skincare. So I basically just haven't been using anything. Like I basically quit most things, and I have just like a very basic morning and night routine. But that is something that I really didn't expect about pregnancy. But the more you look into things, the more like everything you read tells you something different. Like certain ingredients that you've never even heard of, certain websites will tell you like, oh, that's not pregnancy safe, and everybody seems to have a different opinion. And it's really, really hard to navigate that, especially if you're like me and you do this and you get sent a lot of products, and especially skincare. I get sent so much skincare, it's unreal. And you know, every little thing I'm like, oh, is that okay? Like, I don't know if this is okay. I mean, I know the big ones like retinol, obviously you can't use. I think salicylic acid is a no in like large quantities, things like that. But there's a lot out there on like little minuscule ingredients that certain websites are like, oh no, yeah, that's not safe. But then like you go read something else and they don't even mention it. So like, for example, I use a lot of Korean skincare typically, and almost all of my Korean skincare has licorice root in it. And I love licorice root in skincare because if you have sensitive skin, redness, anything like that, licorice root is very calming, and I like it in my skincare. Well, it's literally in almost every product that I use. And there is this website, if you've been pregnant or you've like looked into pregnancy skincare, I'm sure you've heard of it, but it's called like 15-minute pregnancy, or it's 15 something pregnancy. And you can literally go on there and you can search any brand, like any skincare brand, any makeup brand, any hair care brand, and it will tell you like a list of the products from that brand that are pregnancy safe and the products that are not. And if they're not, then they give you the ingredient that's not safe. So I was like looking up a lot of these products, and all of them are coming up as not safe because of licorice root. And I'm like, I have never heard of that before. I mean, that seems like such a strange thing to say that's not pregnancy safe. And so anyway, because of that, I've cut out so many things, and I don't even know if I should cut them out. I've just been doing it. But that's been hard. Also, my chemical sunscreens. If you've been wondering why my beloved Skin 1004 sunscreen just mysteriously disappeared from videos, that's why. Is because it's chemical. And just based on my basic research, I am assuming you're not supposed to use chemical sunscreen in pregnancy. So I tried to switch to mineral, so I haven't used it, but that's been tough because mineral sunscreen under makeup that wears well and doesn't leave a white cast and doesn't pill is nearly impossible to find. So that was something about pregnancy that I did not expect. I have a feeling this video is going to be long, so I'll try to wrap it up here. Honestly, I feel like I could do like a whole other pregnancy video because as I sit here, I'm thinking of other things that I was gonna like touch on, but if I do this video, it'll be 2 hours long. That was, by the way, Anywhere Caffeine from Makeup Forever. I'm gonna do a little bit of this Mario lipstick in Sam. And then a little bit of my Fenty gloss in Sweet Mouth. I think that's everything. I feel like I definitely forgot some things in this video. I made a few notes here so I could try to go over everything I wanted to talk about, but there's so much more that I could say just about my thoughts and feelings this whole time. But I do feel better that I have this like huge weight lifted off my shoulders because it has been hard for the past few months to film anything and not like tell you what's going on, like tell you that, oh my gosh, I have terrible heartburn right now because I'm pregnant, or you know, I'm not feeling great today, physically or emotionally. And I feel a little bit more free now that I can actually say. So I'm glad that it's out there, and I'm curious to know if any of you kind of had a hunch that that might be what's going on, or if you're shocked. You can let me know that too. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And the last thing I just wanted to end this video on is if you or someone you know struggles with fertility, I am giving you the biggest hug and love that I can through this video. I know how that feels, and it's not fun. It's a really sad, isolating feeling, and I would not wish that on my worst enemy. It's not fun, and I know how you feel, and there's nothing that anyone can really say to make that better, but just know that you are not alone. I have felt that way, and I am giving you all the positive vibes and hope for your miracle to come soon. I just wanted to end with that. So there's a lot more that I could say, but maybe I'll save that for another video. But thank you for being here. I didn't talk about one product pretty much that I used on my face. So everything I used, I will list in the description box. If you are curious, I will link everything. If you do use my links, I do make a commission that supports my channel. So thank you. And if you're new, I would love for you to subscribe. If you are not already, make sure to follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you.